Or
Tania
is
Rivilis. Yeah, it's all correct.
yeah, you're from Ukraine.
Yeah, I was born in Ukraine. Now
Yeah.
I'm a German citizenship, so
You live in Germany or in Portugal?
I live in Portugal. I
Okay.
know, a bit mess.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, same with me. I'm Bosnian living in Sweden.
Wow. How you like
Yes.
Sweden?
Not that much. Because
Don't say that online.
no, I mean, culturally, Sweden is a dead country. In Gothenburg, there is three galleries. Only in Stockholm, there is like maybe 10, and they're all driven by profit in such
Oh,
a
that's sad.
there's no culture, there's no theaters, there's no nothing.
That's sad.
Yeah, it's a culture of going out and drink and this Euro songs, like pop
Yeah,
music.
yeah, yeah.
Ugh,
I don't like that.
no, me neither. Nobody likes it, but they are just putting out there. So, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm not a person who's going out very often, and I prefer to be in my studio alone. But yesterday, if honestly, I went to a party. It was a lot of fun. I met a lot of friends and everything. But the bad thing about this is that you don't sleep well, and then you sleep too much, and you wake up slightly broken. So I'm slightly broken.
Yeah, I understand. Did you drink a lot?
No, no, actually, I'm not drinking much. Just a red wine, just a glass of red wine. I'm pumped by energy. So I think I got drunk by the energy around me and the one that I was exploding. So yeah, I'm
Yes.
on energy.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm self-taught artist. I started painting when I was around 27 and I moved to Germany. I think I said that many times already and everyone are like, oh, she's saying that again. But I think it's important thing to say that I feel slightly sad that I didn't go to art schools and academies. But at the same time, I feel kind of free from any limitation of old masters and academy schools, like styles. So it's like pros and contras, and I'm kind of always balancing between these thoughts. I'm now living in Portugal and I have my studio here, as you see behind me, but also I have in Germany. In our house, it's tiny. I think people who is following me on Instagram saw that brown antique museum kind of studio, yeah, on in my posts. What else? So I'm now living in Portugal and my sister is here, my husband is here, we have ocean, so I'm enjoying the life. Sometimes I feel even guilty that I'm enjoying the life here, kind of like people working hard and I'm just, hey, I'm painting, going to ocean, drinking coffee, surfing.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
shouldn't
so
be like that. You shouldn't be
I
like that.
know, I know. I started working with therapists. It's funny, but I started working with therapists because of all these thoughts. Is it personal? It's too personal, right?
You say whatever you want to say. Just say, and I will edit this out. Like, oh, I
No,
don't.
no, I'm actually happy to share. Like I tried before I was trying to pretend to be someone else, but now I just realized why should I pretend if I am like this? And I actually share a lot of stuff even with people I don't know or I see first time in my life. So I'm just open person.
Doesn't
Hmm.
mean anything if you didn't have a education or not in the art. You either do art or you don't. Picasso never
Hmm.
finished academy. Van Gogh never finished academy. And in the old times, there was no academies. You start painting and hope for the best. And if
True.
somebody notice you, so this notion of having a degree in art, it's maybe 150 years old or something.
I'm reading now the book that calls Get the Picture by Bianca Bosker. So she wrote about art world, mostly in New York and States and all this fancy art world. But she wrote that every gallerist, every good gallery will see if you have MFA, if you have some nice degree in arts in some cool university. Otherwise, you're kind of like nobody or something like that. So it feels like a little bit pressure.
Yeah, but it's not inclusive art
Mm,
business because they're running a business. They're not there for their passion.
true,
Artists
yeah.
are there for their passion. Van Gogh didn't cut his ear so he could sell art. They sell his art because he cut his ear. I mean, it's superficial to say like that, but you understand my point.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So, what first drew you to paint as a medium of expression?
when I see now retrospectively that I actually always wanted to express myself somehow. But the problem is that I didn't know how. So I went to, theater courses. I wanted to dance. I wanted to sing, but I don't have any of that talents. Somehow I actually wanted to paint in some point, but like growing in post-Soviet Union space, family are saying that you need to go to study something that will bring you money. An artist, especially in our culture, is someone who is always hungry, doesn't have money, struggling, and probably will die poor under the bridge. I don't know, like something like that. I wanted first to go to architecture and study architecture, but my mom saw people with like huge boards, or everyone in glasses, because you just spoil your vision, like you when you're studying there, and these huge boards, because at that time nobody worked with computers, like it was, you had to paint and draw everything by hand. So yeah, she asked me also not to go there, so I decided to take the most clean and comfortable job I could imagine connected to art somehow, is media design. So I worked on computers, 3D, cinema, video effects, all this stuff, design. And then when I moved to Germany, I actually realized that I started having time after my main job, which was media design. That time I was dating my future husband, and he actually asked me if I have any hobbies or I want to do something except the sports, because I was a bit crazy about sports and mixed martial arts and stuff like that. So yeah, and I said I wanna try to paint. So we went to art supplies, bought some canvases, some oils and brushes, and I started doing copies of old masters. And that's how I started. So
Wow. So thanks to your husband, basically.
yeah, I actually tell it all the time that he really pushed me. In life of artists, there should be a person or circumstances that actually will push you. It can be a tragical circumstances that pushes people to go into art, or it can be a person, it can be a broken heart, but there is always an element. You're not like one floating in this river, right? Like you're bumping on the stones, and I don't know, like dogs. You're
Yeah.
bumping.
How did your upbringing in, post-Soviet Ukraine and environment shaped your creative vision, and what do you want to express with your art?
It's funny because I don't remember much about my childhood. I think it was not this super cool childhood. So probably my brain just, decided to delete all the information. If I think about it, like nothing was actually related to art in my childhood. Like there was nothing. It's a small, tiny town in Ukraine. There were nothing like connected to art. There was no art at all. Like even on the, I don't know, houses. Nobody painted the houses with beautiful patterns and something like that. So I don't remember anything. But I remember that I've been alone a lot. And I think that kind of made from the kids something, like some personality that go inside herself. So I went inside myself too often, like I went into my thoughts and imagination and stuff like that. Probably that's where I start being weird a little bit. Like kids when they're like alone. So yeah, it's funny because nobody painted in my family. There was no art in my family. There was no museums. We didn't go to museums. So even when I moved to Moscow, the age of 8, we didn't go to museums. So it's funny how I just have this inside my genes. I don't know how it's happening.
My cousins, they're all farmers. Nobody cares about art. Under the siege of Sarajevo from 1992 to 1995, I was
Mm,
there because it was a Serbian aggression on Bosnia and
mm,
Croatia and Kosovo. Maybe you heard about it in 90s.
yeah.
But when the war stopped, I said I want to be an artist, and my parents were devastated. It's complicated how I have a relationship with my art and my parents. And I decided to do this first podcast and now YouTube because I'm very dedicated to what
Mhm.
makes art function in the world. And so when I saw your paintings on Instagram, I was like, oh
Mm.
my God, I need to speak with this woman. And I saw you
Oh.
won some awards in London. I saw how talented you are. Talent is nothing if you don't work.
Mm.
Talent is nothing if you don't have right opportunities. I felt a little bit jealous of your not success, but jealous of your work. Is there any specific artists, mentors, movements that had an impact on you on your work?
Yes, no, of course, for sure. I don't know if you saw, I actually have a mood board right in front of me, and I posted about this. So I collect pictures that inspires me. I just print them and I put in front of me. Sometimes I think that because I'm painting not very long, so it's what, like it's 11, 12 years now. And it feels like I had to squeeze all the styles, all the centuries of art education into a very short period. So I didn't have much time to dig deep into each of period of art history. So I kind of like started from probably impressionist and modernist, postmodernist, all this stuff. So I now try to read more books about the Renaissance, all the past medieval age and the beginnings of like art. And I try to read a lot just to like get all this, fill all these gaps that I have. And I feel it, like sometimes I'm really kind of embarrassed that I don't have art education because I feel these gaps, and it makes me kind of feeling slightly not good enough, not being enough. So yeah, but coming back to your question, I guess it's of course all the impressionists, Fauvism.
Henri Matisse is my favorite
Yes.
painter.
I have a lot of books about them, and I really love that boldness and how brave they were, just how they feel, although there was like a limitation of all these styles and museums and all these institutions, but they still like just went wild. And I really love that. And I really want to have that in my works. And I still feel like I'm not brave enough to get wilder. I feel like inside myself, I have more passion and more things to express with more wild brushstroke, loose brushstrokes and color fields. But I still feel like I'm limited, like by all this stuff
Mm.
around me. I really love Uruguayan artist Carlos Federico Saez. I don't know, Chile and Lucian Freud, Van Gogh. I also love a lot of the guys from Russian Empire. Philip Malyavin, Vrubil, Serov, Repin. They were amazing. Konstantin Korovin is great. Somov. Like there are so many. Arkhipov. Oh my God, it's just names are exploding in my head. And from the modern, I love Colleen Berry. I think you know her. Ruprecht von Kaufmann, one of my favorite. And I'm going to Minorca to teach with him the quarantine island, like this project. I will be looking at him like a puppy, because I really love his work. Yeah, so there are like many influencers, they're like a sponge, I try to absorb everything from around.
How do you begin a new piece? Do you plan it out or is more instinctive?
I think everything what I do is just intuition, like it feels like I don't have a plan. Even if I try to have a plan, I don't have a plan. Like I visited Colin Sperry studio in New York, and she's such an inspiration. It feels like she knows how to do, like she has the steps. I'm sure it's a mess in her head as well, but from from the third point of view, it looks like she knows what she's doing. And she inspired me to do these sub nails, like a little doodles. And then you just, you go to the small paintings first, you finish it, then you go to the big painting. And I don't know, maybe for this you need a specific brain construction because mine definitely doesn't work like that. So if I feel like I'm coming to my studio, sometimes I feel I want to do a small paintings of something very small, like insignificant. But sometimes I'm coming to a studio like a general, I don't know, like I feel a lot of braveness and I'm like, this big canvas is gonna be occupied by paint right now. And I'm like taking a big brush and I start painting like something big. It's 80% that is gonna be shitty painting because, probably I cannot control that, wave of adrenaline, dopamine, and other hormones. That's why when I said like Fauvism is something that I really want to get into it, like because that's what I want to express, but somehow I don't feel I'm capable by my skills yet. So yeah, or maybe I'm not brave enough, or maybe I just need to get super crazy and just Yeah, it's a dilemma that I have for a long time. I don't know. So there is no answer for your question. I just improvise.
Yes, you should watch on my YouTube
Uh-huh.
La Madeleine des Albes cave. It's about carvings of two women. They look like Matisse did them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's really, really strange. When I saw
Everything's
it,
so connected, right?
13,000 years in between Matisse and Fauvism and this artist who made these carvings of two women, engravings of them.
Do you think he saw that?
I think he was really old when the cave was
Mm.
discovered.
Right now, I can understand we have all this globalization, we have internet, so we can see stuff. But sometimes you see that stuff like in the past, and it feels like a magic, you know, it feels like we have a collective brain or something.
Our brain didn't change for 75,000 years. And weirdly enough, first art started around 75,000 years ago. And if you observed, for example, art in France and you
Mm-hmm.
observe art in Korea, that's like 10,000 kilometers apart. But in the same time, they have almost the same art.
Crazy, right?
Especially in Mesolithic and Neolithic. And you have in Sulawesi cave one of the oldest stencil of a
Mm-hmm.
hand that's 65,000 years ago. And you have in Chauvet cave one artist painted all of the Chauvet cave with his hands 40,000 years ago. So these people never met, but there's something in our brains that wants to create, express. And I think that emotions play a lot of role in art. But what role does emotion play in your creative process?
It's a question of, I think, 1 hour of therapy.
Okay, let's do it.
Um, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. I don't know. I just started realizing that probably these colorful paintings that I have, light and the color that I try to fulfill my studio or my life with, I think it comes from my childhood. I was afraid of darkness. It feels like I try to put the light and the color into everything around me. I'm just the person who is very expressive, as you probably noticed. I'm pretty open, so it feels like, yeah, I'm like a little bit exactly. So probably it's just part of my character, but I think it's going deeper. So I guess it's something that is in my past that I wanna to put light and color around me. And also, you know, like if I look at something that I wanna paint, especially if I work from the life models or if I'm doing some sketches outside, I really start seeing a lot of colors. First, when you see the skin, you see just skin tone color. But then when you just start observing it longer, there are like a shimmering effects of all the colors. So it's more like pointillism. It's kind of like start being all together, but you see this shiny, shimmering effect of all the colors jumping, you know, like and appearing and disappearing and appearing and disappearing. I guess I just try to look deep and longer into something, and it's not about emotions, right? So I'm probably answering not correctly,
No,
but
your answer is good as
yeah,
any. I
okay,
promise you.
okay.
Does this emotional state when you are painting influence how you paint? For example, if you take that painting behind you, you took green and you took orange, or you do it instinctively, subconsciously, consciously.
I got it. Yeah. So I have different stories about it. So this painting behind me, it's actually I'm not sleeping well for past months, and actually this is about sleeping. So it's just waking and sleeping. So they're like same guy. Yeah, it looks like my life affects that. So I'm actually coming here. If I didn't sleep well or I'm not sleeping enough, I want to paint about sleep. You know, like you're painting about something that missed in your life or something that you want to add. And this is kind of like a magic of artists, right? Like we can just create something that we don't have. Like, you know, like for example, artists who are painting, I don't know, they don't have a home or they lost a home during the war, so they start painting a home. So it's kind of our power, a magic of artists, that we can create stuff around us or create the feelings and feel that. Because when I paint how he sleeps, I can feel, you know, how cozy it is, how, you know, like he's going towards the morphe country, you know, like he's disappearing in this nice coziness and stuff like that. But at the same time, the painting is like here, the pink one, just like like this one. I started playing tennis like 3 years ago, and there was the first tournament that I ever had, and there was only men and me. And of course, I lost. And looks like I'm very sensitive and very not competitive person. I came to my studio, I was crying. I was like, it was miserable. I was crying. So I started painting that painting. And I put all my sadness, all my aggression, everything that I had that time into this painting. So the face is actually pretty angry. It's like full of angriness and emotions that, oh my God, how that happened? How could you lose so many games? It's probably how you just reflect state of mind. You just reflect that. You just come to the studio and people can see everything. It's in this book, like I have Art Spirit. He said, like everything that you're painting. There will be no secret from the audience. They will see everything.
Yeah.
If they will think, if they will really observe.
That painting that you're speaking of, it reminds me of painting Fallen Angel. So we spoke about your fears and challenges. Are there any rituals or habits that help you stay creatively focused or grounded? Do you have any of those?
Do we call procrastination a habit? Because I have that one.
Yeah, everybody has.
That's my favorite habit. No, okay, so seriously, what helps me for sure, it's sport. I know it sounds weird, but actually it's something that helps me to reset my mind. So I love playing tennis, surfing, I go jogging, I go to the gym, and this is something that I think every artist should do, because it's actually also something very physical, because when we're painting, we kind of connect our imagination, unconscious, into our physical, like into our hands, and we're like transferring it through the body anyway. So our body is kind of like our tool. It's nice if we train our body to be a better tool. And if you do sports, like your body is functioning better. So I think it's easier for artists even to be an artist when you're like more, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, I understand you. Ancient Greeks were obsessed how their body
Mhm.
looks, and if you have a nice chiseled body, you are closer to gods. And then this pre-Socratic philosopher Thales, he said, "In a healthy body, healthy
There's a
spirit."
healthy spirit. Yeah, yeah,
And
nice.
then Romans took it as a proverb, mens sana in corpore sano. Artists who did cave paintings and in Mesolithic, they
Mm.
were hunter-gatherers. They were running, they were hunting, they had a healthy body, they lived really long lives. I understand you what you're saying. So
Mm.
very good to have sports.
For example, tennis is such a, it's not only about the tennis, but something that where you challenge to observe yourself, like as a machine, like, and at the same time it's very philosophical game, because it's so controversial. Like I'm just in love with tennis. You have to be focused, but you have to be relaxed. You have to be fast, but you need to be slow. All this stuff painfully breaking my mind. And every time I go to tennis, I'm like, I'm learning something about myself. And I'm also learning about something that I can actually use in my studio. Don't rush, or take it slowly, but at the same time behave quickly. You can take all this philosophy from the sports and use it in your daily life. Like, it's really helpful. It's kind of like a therapy.
Yes.
It's so deep. Yeah, I really love it. Oh, of course, coffee ritual. It's a ritual, right?
How important is the beauty in art?
It's very, yeah, it's very philosophical and very difficult question, especially nowadays, when we are not controlled by institutions, or like a church or a government or something like that. So we don't have something that we can follow, something that people call art, aesthetically pleasant things. So nowadays this line is so abstract, so it's so subjective. And I don't know, like, about you, but I just scroll Instagram, or I go to the gallery. I don't get many things I wanted, and I try not to be picky. I actually want to understand some art that I don't understand. And probably, again, it's a bit controversial, because probably if you look deeper and longer, even at the ugly things, like Bacon painting the meat it's ugly. But if you start looking closer, probably you will find the beauty of the brush strokes, you will find the beauty of the color combination, whatever. But nowadays it's even harder because like there are some mediums that are not live, they don't have soul. I really try hard to look at something and see the beauty, but nowadays it's slightly difficult. Nowadays we don't need a beauty, we need a narrative. So probably the beauty nowadays is the narrative. I don't know, like meaningless or has no meaning for you. But if you know the story behind work, maybe it will start, like appearing in front of you. So yeah, it's a bit difficult. I'm still maybe old school person. I still prefer something where I see the aesthetics, where I see the beauty. It can be a beauty about the compositions, the colors, forms. Even if it's abstract art, you still kind of with your sensors or with your subconscious, you can feel the beauty. Probably it's mathematical formula that your brain is reading from this painting, even if there is no figurative or any realistic pictures. Yeah, where I'm going with that, I have no idea.
Do you believe that the artist has a responsibility, either social, political, spiritual, religious, whatever?
uh, it's a it's a very tricky road you're taking me on.
I'm sorry.
um no, it's just like I sometimes when I say something like this on Instagram, I get the comments. I'm trying to avoid any
Co-
battles, yeah, like com-
conflict.
conflicts, exactly. As you see, I'm like a happy person with a sad thoughts, so I'm just like trying to not to go deep into the comments. And if the person doesn't feel like something, it's okay, like if it's not connected with my thoughts, that's also nice. So historically, generally, artist was the person who was taking these huge ideas, political, religious, aesthetical ideas, and pushing it and moving the revolution and moving the world front of the bright future, whatever. But sometimes, maybe since I am an artist as well, sometimes I just one that people will just leave me alone, like, and just let me be an artist. If I feel like I wanted to work in political subject, as you see, I'm not trying to touch that things because there are so many opinions, there are so many truths, if you can say, like there are not one truth, there's so many, and we don't know so many things like as they are in reality. So I just try not to touch that topic, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Same with religion, because I have no idea about this topic. Sometimes I want to touch a little bit of feministic stuff with my paintings, although I paint men, but I want to change roles in all history of art, right? So I want to be an artist who is saying when a model is coming to my studio, like, sit on this sofa, take off your clothes, pose, like something like that. So I really love this role that I am an artist and the male figure is my muse and I can see it as an object. I like this feministic, I'm not sure if it's feministic, probably feminist girls will kill me now with it.
I want to ask you, does art come from within or does it reflect something greater than the individual?
I think we can also go back to the collective mind as well, because I think this is also plays role in what artists try to reflect or say. I think there is something bigger, because if we think about this, we are like creating something from zero, like from nothingness, right? Like, so we take nothingness and like we start putting all these puzzles together, and somehow through our bodies or through our hands something is coming to life, but the start point is nothingness, it's like zero. So I really believe that we are transcending some like a bigger ideas, or at least maybe we're doing it sometimes good, sometimes maybe not that good, but we're doing something bigger than we are. So I really believe that artists are, I don't know how you call it, like a filter or something, like a transmitter or something. Because yeah, as I said, we I think we still have this huge collective thing, and we're just collecting stuff. Like it's like a radio waves or something like that. How it happens that I, for example, come to a studio one day and I start having an idea. Of course, it's all that I observe around me, right? But how it's shaped in particular way, like why it's happening exactly on signature styles. So there must be something, that is above us or bigger than we are, that helps us to do this. If
Mhm.
it makes sense. Do you think it makes sense what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. That's your answers and that's what you believe. But
Well, what do you
the,
believe?
oh, I believe in a lot of stuff, but this is not about me. This is about you.
No,
Uh,
I just, sometimes I feel like, should it be more pragmatic and rational? Like maybe the answer is so easy, like maybe the answer is so simple that we're just, creating because we're based on so many images in our head, and our brain is just, like mixing these images like our library, and
yes,
we're doing something just based on these images. Probably artists are painting something that looks like they never saw before, right? Like if you think about this, or as you said, like some part of the planet people are doing the same stuff. Like how it's possible? Like do they have the same library in their heads? Did they have the same visual content in their head? No, but something is like connecting these people from different parts of the world.
but
I
do
don't know.
you do you ever
Uh-huh.
question the meaning or value of what you do?
I question it every day, believe me. I'm just like, every day I'm coming here, I'm like, you're finishing painting in the evening, you're in your studio and you're going back and you're like, oh my God, I'm genius, like I'm fucking genius. And then you're going back to the studio next morning, you see this painting and like, who the fuck made this shit, like you just don't recognize. So I think it describes the artist, and especially like it describes my feeling with my art, like my relationship with the art. One day I can be a genius, one day I can be, like just, take off my hands and burn them because they're useless.
Does the world around you, social
Uh-huh.
issues, nature, politics, influence your work?
Hmm. I know the answer. So definitely change in the country. So when I was living in Germany, I had more like bluish, cold, purplish palette. And if you scroll my Instagram, you can actually see the difference because I started with something like cold colors that were slightly more muted. Because Germany is about rain, it's about you don't see sun for several months, it's about cold, and also, the culture, people, it's slightly different. When I moved first time, when we came to Portugal, and I saw the color of the sky, and I saw the color of the, like greens and oceans and the beautiful buildings made with a lot of tails, azaleas with like hand painted. It was like a shock for me. I didn't know that so many color exist, because I'm from, Slavic people. They also like not very familiar with bright colors as well.
Yeah.
It definitely changed my perspective and my color palette for sure. So all you see this, okay, now I start changing slightly towards pinkish greenish, but you probably remember I had like a lot of yellow paintings, yellow and something like with like orangey yellow bright colors. So it's definitely when I changed the country, so it affected me so much. And also the openness of Portuguese people, the culture of south, fisherman village, ocean, wine, close communities, like very close people close to each other. It definitely changed that. So I feel now that I'm more relaxed, more loose in my brush strokes even. So yeah, definitely it affects everything around me, affects me.
Don't be hard on yourself, okay? Uh,
I'm very famous for that.
yes, but nobody will notice except you.
Yeah,
I
yeah, that's
promise
why
you.
we have this, that's why we have this interviews, so it's just interesting. I listen to interviews of other artists just to know, oh my God, that's why, like it's cool to know the story behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing this. Do you use acrylic, oil, tempera? What is your medium?
I love oil. That's how I start painting, with oils. And you see behind me, I use oils, but some paintings actually I use acrylics I got so many acrylics, so I start painting with acrylics as well. And I try actually to reach that feeling of oils, like in my portraits when I paint with acrylics. And some portraits are really going well, like people don't see if it's acrylics or oils. Yeah, I also love oil pastels and oil bars just to draw with them. Before I was using a lot of like color pencils. I still like if I do sketches, for example, I use a lot of color pencils. Like this is like my sketchbook. So if I have nothing to paint, I paint some stupid stuff like like some weird portraits or cats. I don't know why. I just love painting screaming cats, like I think it's something inside me, actually. I don't know. I just want a electric scream, like just something that I need to express. And the funny thing is that when I have nothing in my mind at all, I do some color doodles, you see? So it's just
Yeah.
actually just a color lines.
Yes.
So I don't know, it's just like something. I think the artist should just do something. If you don't feel like you want to paint a proper painting, just do like, lines,
Yeah.
circles, whatever. The thing is just to kind of not to stop, not to quit. I think that's
Yes.
our engine. Because whenever you stop, I don't know if you feel it in your art, like if you stop, at least for a week, you have holidays, let's say. It's so difficult to go back. It's so
Oh,
difficult to start painting again.
what is art?
Oh no, not these questions. Okay, I'm leaving. Oh god. Okay, it's something human. It's something about arrow. It's something about uh, I don't know if there is a word disperfection. So not perfection. It feels like perfection is about craft, but art is about arrow. It's about human, and it's about imperfection.
Wow, that's a good answer.
Oh yes! Did I win something?
Then what can you? How do you want to be remembered?
I want people to remember my colors. Oh, I mean, like, I want to be remembered by my paintings. I don't have kids, so I guess that's gonna be what I will leave after me. So it's gonna be my art. Of course, I want to make like some mark in the history of humanity with my art.
If you could have a dinner with anybody in the world, historical character
Oh
from
God.
your book, who would it be and why?
Okay, so I don't know. It's so funny because I'm an artist, but if I would meet someone, I would probably meet someone from the scientist field. I would love to meet Madame Curie, so the physicist, chemist. Guys that know something that I don't know. I want to ask them a lot of questions because recently I was in Oxford and I painted the portrait of the Baroness, and there was unveiling ceremony, and many professors of the Oxford University and Somerville College been there, and I finally met someone, professor of physics and professor of chemistry, and I asked the most stupid questions you could ever imagine. The questions from my childhood, from my school, where the physics and chemistry was the shitty subjects. Nobody understood anything because teachers didn't want to teach that. Like it was so boring, but it actually a magic of our lives. Like it's a magic of universe. And for
Yes.
me, everything what happened in there in this field is like a magic. So I asked such a stupid question. You should see their faces. They were so shocked, but I didn't care because finally I have a resource of, asking someone very intelligent.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would love to meet some scientists.
Thank you for doing this, and I
Thank
hope you
you.
have a good day today.
You too. You
Yes.
too. Drums. Ciao, ciao.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Bye.
Bye bye.